Hello, this is a short 20-minute overview of our latest submodule called Audit Ready. It's a work papers application that's a combination of checklists, to-dos, and thing we call audit alerts, which are very, very important. There is also with that a little workflow tool, which we have down here. It's a three-tiered workflow tool. We've got the accountant, we've got a manager, and we have a partner. So you can keep track of where your jobs are up to, moving from one to the other. If you don't have the three-tiered, if you just have the accountant and the partner, you can ignore the manager area, so you just have a two-tiered solution. Some of our clients love it, some use it, some don't. It's up to you. It's all part of the package. There's no fee for it. As I've mentioned, this module is free for BGL users and fully integrated into the BGL transactions, not just the ledger balances. But as we'll see, it's very simple to upload the transactions out of BGL into the work papers and then start working on it. And the main reason for the work papers is two. One is to speed up the review time for the managers and partners. Feedback from our clients is that it's happening. But also, when the system brings up the audit alert, it does some interrogation on the data that it brings in and brings up a traffic light system with red is bad, green is good, and then you go and investigate those matters. But there's a whole range of checklists that our auditors have added to the work papers to ensure that the information is as complete as possible that comes through to us to do the final audit, and in doing so, hopefully that will reduce queries. But if we move through, we'll tick on the jobs button, and that brings up all the jobs that you have on the system, all the work papers. What we do is, if you are going to use the application, we get your permission to upload the fund and trustee information that we already have on file in another part of the server, and we can then create these master files for you. So that is quite a time saver, we've been told. And so I'm now going to go into a particular fund, and the Sam Todd fund, we have a 2021 and a 2020 work paper, so I'm just going to go into the 2020. And it comes into the workflow tab here, which will just give you a quick snapshot. So this is where we set up the accountant's details, the manager and the partner. And if you don't have that middleman, we just don't even bother setting up the manager, and you can work from there. But what's more important is the workflow. So the main thing that you need to do is, because once we give you that information for your fund and trustees, is to go and grab the BGL code and attach it to this particular file. All right? In doing so, we actually have this little help screen, which you'll see down the bottom all the time. This is sort of an area sensitive, so if you're in this particular area and you click on the help screen, you'll get access. So here the Audit Ready BGL 360 API authorization. So you click on that, and it will then take you through to the area. Right? It'll take you by the hand, and this is how you actually set up your BGL API authorizations. So it's a very, very handy tool, and that's all the way through the software. So you'll use that quite a bit when you're start your work. So what we have here is the ability to then suck in the data, but there are a couple of reports, these ones here, these 5 reports here, that you need to drop out of BGL, and then you can drag and drop them into here from a second screen, or you can drop them into a file, because you may have a folder called Evolve in your data pack, and you just have those reports sitting in that folder, and you can drag those into a file here and then upload them. The rest of the transactions will come in when we hit upload. We are working with BGL at the moment for the API to bring these reports in, but right at this point in time, you actually have to bring those reports in, but we will bring all the other transactions in, but that will change in time. So you hit the upload button, all the data comes in, and then you just hit launch work papers. So we're launching into a standard set of work papers, regardless of the size of the fund. It'll all be the same. You've got your folders down here, and then inside your folders, you've got your various areas where we have our checklists and that sort of stuff. But if we have a look at the preparation area to start with, right at the start, we notice here we have a couple of red buttons. Okay, so these are the ones that need to be looked at straight away by the accountant, and also by the reviewer. So there's nothing much here in fund details, trustee review. It's just asking here, the first time you come into this particular work paper, the first time you do it, you have to say whether the fund has got a corporate trustee or an individual trustee. If it's got a corporate trustee, then who are the directors? The system will bring in the members' details quite directly from BGL. But here you actually, for the first year, you actually have to nominate this information here, and then you can tag it here as permanent. Once tagged as permanent, you don't have to touch it again until such time as there is a change. One question I do get asked a lot is, do we have to put the trustee the trust deed in to this area? And I'll show you later on, you don't have to, but you may choose to, but I'll touch on that a little bit later. Down here, we've also got a red button, so we need to look at this, and then somebody has gone through and done some work, and they've put a red cross there, and they put an annotation here, which is like, in my days, was like a sticky notepad, that the management letter has not been returned, have contacted the client to send. So until such time as that comes in, that little red button will stay, and as you notice here, that's highlighted there as well. Now, once that letter comes in, and that issue has also been put into the review area here. So any work that is done on the file where there's an issue, a copy of it gets put into the summary of issues area. So this is where the system is really good for reviewers, because the reviewer can come in and look from the top down through this area here and see all of the issues that the staff have raised while preparing their work papers. And so once this is eventually cleared, you see I'll tick this box and say, okay, it's now been cleared. Boom, I can put my notation there as to what happened, and then that box is then ticked. Now, it is still sitting there in the summary of issues, but as far as the work papers go, the work has been highlighted, the work's been done, and move on. Okay. If we then pop down here to these audit alerts, so what the system is, what our auditors have done here is they've raised questions to the accountant for things to be looked at before they send the file to us. So, have the prior year receivables been cleared? It's just a question, right? So it's just prompting the staff to go and do that work, and then they can come in and say, tick yes, no, it hasn't. And if it was no, then it would also raise something in the summary of issues. But down here, we'll see that there's something being automatically generated here. So here, the system, this has got a red A, which means it's automated, and it's a red button, which means it's bad. That there is an overdraft issue with the bank account, which has come in from that bank reconciliation report that we dumped down, and so that needs to be looked at. There's another one down here which says there's a problem with the pensions. Okay, there's an automatic button down there, so that needs to be looked at as well. But where do we go when you're first using the software, or if you're coming in? Where do we find this particular information? I call this the little evil eye here. So if you click on that button, it's going to take us from where we are here down into the body of the file where that particular information is sitting. So if we click on that button, it takes us down here to investments. Okay, it opens up the area in here where all the audit details are, all the questions, the checklists are, and this is where it was raised. There's the button there. And then if we look up here, wherever we see that little piece of paper, that indicates that behind that button is transactional data out of BGL. So if we click on that button, it's now going to bring up the bank statement information from the report. And as we'll see here, the ANZ account here, fine. It's, very few transactions have gone through, just one interest amount. And then we look down here. This is the trading account for the shares. And then we go bang, the system's dropped into overdraft there, overdraft there, corrected here. Okay, then it drops into overdraft there. Now this is in fact my account, and as soon as I saw that I panicked. But my shares are with a wrap provider, and the wrap provider has full control over the trading, etc. I have no say in it whatsoever. So when I spoke to the auditors, they said, right, okay, that's happened. So long as we see it goes back into the black, that's okay. And just put a notation on file that you have no control over it. It's done by the fund manager, whatever, and Bob's your uncle. But the good thing was it was picked up, it was raised, so the question was asked, and an answer had to be given before it goes off to us. Otherwise, we're going to raise the query. So that is where the software is really good. It's in this audit alert area and also in this review area. But the other part where people like it is all the checklists that are there. So if we go down and start doing the regulatory review, it's now showing you all the signed documents that need to be there. Boom, 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 boom. All right. And you can attach a document to a particular question, or you may have all of these documents in one PDF and just dump it into this one section. So instead of putting it on the portal, you're putting it here into the work paper, and then it's electronically going to go through to us. Right. Pop down here, fund structure. This is where I raised a question about the trust deed. Do you need to put, I always get the question, do I need in the first year of using this to put the trust deed in when you guys have already got it? The answer is no, you don't. Our guys already have a copy of the trust deed on file. You don't have to attach it if you don't want to. Personally, I would attach it because I'd like to have a complete set of documents there in my work papers. So I would have, and it is set there as a permanent document. So once it's attached once, it stays there all the time. So that's just my view. You don't have to because we already have it. But if it was a new fund, obviously you put it in there, you tick that permanent button and it's there for keeps. All right. We also down here do have the ability to have a look at documents that are sitting in the system. Because say you're working on the file, you drop it for a week, you come back and you say, well, which documents have we uploaded into the software? So this is now showing you all the documents that we have uploaded into the regulatory review area. Right? And then, so that's great. So you don't remember all of these. So that was just drag and drop or clicked in from a file. And so they're all the documents there in the regulatory review. And we may also want to have a look at all documents across the entire file. So this is showing all documents that are there. Now we have this other button here, withhold from audit. Now I have had a couple of questions from accountants to say, if we have a work paper which we don't want to give the auditors, can we include it as part of our work paper file but not send it to you? Now I hate to think what was in that particular work paper file, but we have this button here, withhold from audit. So yes, you could have a personal, company's person-specific work paper that you do for internal purposes that you don't want the auditors to see. I don't know what it would be. But you can say, right, so you can include it in your PDF documents, etc., that you will store on your server, but you don't send it to audit. So you've got all the flexibility in the world in that area. Okay, so that's just down here with the display documents. So upload the documents. It's very easy to find where they are sitting. Right. So we finished that. Pop down here. There's a red button here which I just put on for highlighting purposes. Attach it. This one here just says it's too general in nature. You can click on there and have a look at it. And if you got a new copy, and if you note, as soon as we tick that, okay, that will then go green. But because we have raised it once, that will still be there in the summary of issues. Okay. So as you move through the folders, okay, you've got all of the information down here, all the checklists, etc., that need to be addressed and answered. Such that you provide us with the complete file as much as possible. What I have been told by people, if we come down here to the investments, it's this area down here that a lot of our clients have had the best use out of the system. It's more in the area where the assets are more unusual assets, more complex assets, rather than cash shares and managed funds. They're quite easy. But we have come down here where we may have property or we may have limited recourse borrowing. This is where clients are telling us that they're finding that the checklists are really good in helping them collect the right information to send through to us in relation to those particular assets, because the vast majority of the queries that I've seen get raised are certainly in that collectibles, loans, and the property area. So these checklists all the way through here are excellent in relation to making sure that any of these unusual assets, you have the full documentation available and sent through to us. So, as I said, once all that work is done and you've raised issues, then you've got this summary of issues area up here, which is really clever. All right. So what we're looking at here, and I'll come back to these validation errors in a second. So wherever there has been an issue further down in here, remember we had that issue with the bank overdraft, right? That has popped into, still, even though it may have been resolved, it's still sitting there as a summary of issues, and the partner or the manager can come in and says, yes, I accept that as reasonable, okay? And then that now then goes from red to green. That's been accepted, and you can put your little notation there, spoken with the rep provider, everything's hunky-dory. So this summary of issues is really good because, as I said, it keeps track of the issues that have been raised during the audit and then they've been cleared, explanation given, and everything's okay. But then again, then our auditors also get to see that yes, there was an issue, it's been reviewed, it's been fixed, move on. One of the things here, which I'll just pop back into here for a sec, with the reviews, this is the manager and partner reviews. These are important, and this is where, particularly before the file gets sent through to us, the partner has to come in here and clear all of these questions that have been raised by the staff. When they come in and have a look at this particular area, and he says, oh, this is a regulatory review about those signed documents. Okay. What's all that about? You click on that evil eye button and it's taken them from the review into the regulatory review area, down to those documents. This is the one, the particular one in question. Have a look at it, see the reasoning, and then this one's been accepted, and move on. But all the time it's there, sitting there in that summary area, that it has been an issue, it has been raised, but it has been cleared. If it hadn't been cleared, that button would be red, all right, and it needs to be cleared before it goes through to us. This validation of errors is also a good check. So the system, when it's brought in the BGL data, it's had a look at that data, and all of these buttons down here initially would have been red, all right? So if somebody's gone through and then done these checks on these issues that have been raised, there's one here that hasn't been finalised, and the system is saying that, okay, the accrued benefits is that total, it should tie up to that total in BGL, there's a variance of X, Y, all right? So somebody has to go in and then figure out why that has occurred. You're able to then put that information in here, and you can use this little sticky notepad if you wish, to sort of put the work that you've done in there, etc. As you can see here, I've used this as a bit of a reconciliation to figure out what the difference is between those figures, then go into the BGL data and see where the problem lies. So really clever way of using the system to pick up these anomalies rather than the staff. So having done that, you've gone through all of those, you've cleared all your outstanding review areas, and it's now time to print your final reports, and you can print the PDF. I'll touch on one thing here, this amended financials. Say you're in BGL, you're 90% of the way through doing the job, you pick up an issue, the manager says you've got to go back and put a journal entry through, so you go back into BGL, put the journal entry through, and then you need to bring your amended financials back into the work papers. So it's as simple as this. You come into this area, you say, are there amended financials? Yes, there are. And we then say, hit the upload button and hit the upload API button, and that will bring in the change from BGL straight into the work papers, highlights it in red, and then ready for you then to make your notes from an audit point of view as to the reason and what work was done. So it's a really simple way of doing it. So it's really clever. There's also an audit trail in there to show who did that change, when, where, why, boom. So you keep a full audit trail of any of those changes to the GL after the work had been started. So it's now ready to do the PDF for the file. So we click on that, and this is then showing you there are other documents other than just the work papers. You include the GL, you can include current year documents, permanent documents, etc. Lead schedules, create the PDF. And so we're then going to create that PDF. I'm just going to move something up here while we do it. So I'm going to create that PDF report. And this particular document here is 233 pages long. So it is a fully indexed set of work papers. These are showing you, like I saw those little red dots on that validation area. These things that said, as I said, it's a variance, it's got to be investigated. These crosses, you'll see them all through the work papers where the system has gone through and done comparisons between schedules, it's done adds, etc. So they're the symbols for those. We then look down here, so you can easily go and find information that's sitting there, statement of financial position. So there's your data, there's the work that the staff have done. Okay, this is the work the system has done. So you've got your full set of information there. Okay, and the work papers, the questions, etc. And attached to that also You've got your bank statements and you've got your app reports, etc., etc., etc. So it's a complete index. It's 233 pages for your work papers. So you print that off to your PDF, store it in the file, and then it's ready to send to us to do the review. So you've got this admin button up here. David and myself, we thought that this was sort of a wishy-washy thing, send job to audit. We said that should be the yeehaw button. Hit the yeehaw button. So you hit that button, the system will go and check to make sure that your partner approval of all those outstanding queries that were sitting there in the review area, and then it'll go and send the job to audit, okay, electronically. Now, I'll just open this summary of issues again, because when it comes to queries, at the moment, when it comes to queries, the queries will continue to come back through the portal. With the next version of this software, which hopefully will be out sometime this year, those queries will come back through the work papers. They will be answered through the work papers. And when the final report is ready, it will be sent here through the work papers. So for those people that are using Audit Ready, you basically stop using the portal. Everything is fully enclosed in this one process. So as I mentioned at the start, this is not so much about the work papers per se. It's more about the audit alert checks that are done. It's more about the review facilities that are there to speed up the review for the partners and managers, with the summary of issues and the review area that sort of enables the partners and managers to have a top-down look at the file and the issues that have been raised by the staff. That's where our clients are getting the savings, and I hope you can as well. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. Bye-bye.